Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, I guess. I'm Nails Before Films, and the idea of this channel is basically I do nails inspired by movies, anime, games, etc. And I commentate on those media while I do the nails. So you can say I'm basically a nail art commentator. Since it's October spooky season, I decided it'd be fun to do nails based on classic horror movies or just horror movies I personally enjoyed and talk about them. And what better movie to start than The Shining? Just keep in mind that I didn't rewatch the whole movie before making this video. I only watched the kill count by Dead Meat as a recap. So my thoughts are mostly based on what I remember about the film the first time I watched it. Although most people have probably seen the film already, I'm still going to quickly summarize the plot. So Jack Torrance, the main character, takes the position of hotel caretaker during the off season. The hotel had a troubled past as the previous caretaker killed his wife, his daughters, and himself in the hotel. That seems like a huge red flag to me, but I understand why Jack didn't think much of it. It's reasonable to believe that the guy was just crazy instead of the hotel was haunted. Anyway, Jack takes his wife Wendy and son Danny with him, and Danny has this telepathic link with the hotel chef Dick, who calls this ability the Shining, hence our title. Dick warns Danny about room 237 before leaving, and a month passes. Jack starts to lose his mind. His writing is getting nowhere, he becomes more violent, and even dreams about killing his family. Eventually, he really tries to kill his wife and son, and even sabotages their means of leaving the hotel. Danny uses his telepathic link with Dick to call for help, who then travels to the hotel only to be murdered by Jack. Poor Dick. Jack chases Danny into a hedge maze, who cleverly tricks him into the wrong path. Wendy and Danny then escape with Dick's vehicle, and Jack freezes to death in the maze. The movie ends with Jack in a picture of the hotel staff taken decades ago, showing that Jack has always been the hotel caretaker. So, with the summary out of the way, let's get into my thoughts on the film. So, The Shining, a very classic horror film. Many would say one of the greatest horror films of all time. I watched the movie about 5 years ago, and I had just gotten into horror films. I used to be terrified of horror, especially paranormal ones, but I like gory anime, so I thought I could start watching slashers or splatter. I began watching stuff like Saw, and after watching a couple of those, I decided I should try watching something that was more classic. So I went out of my comfort zone and watched The Shining, which had supernatural components that I was pretty scared of. Because of how everyone says it's the greatest horror movie ever, and I had just watched Ready Player One, which made The Shining seem like the scariest thing ever, I went in expecting to be traumatized. However, my immediate reaction after watching The Shining was, that was it? That wasn't scary. This movie is way too overrated. I had no idea why people think it's one of the best horror movies ever. I thought it was just okay. However, a couple of days later, or maybe a week later, the movie actually crept up on me when I was laying awake at night. I don't know what it was, but the film suddenly scared me and I couldn't sleep properly for a couple of days after that. It blew my mind how a film could creep up on me like that and make me feel so uneasy days after I watched it. I later heard about how meticulous the director was when he was filming The Shining, the same amount of takes they had to go through, and how obsessed with detail he was. In my opinion, the tediousness was definitely worth it. I feel like the film crept up on me because of how carefully it was shot. The more you replay the scenes in your mind, the more you revisit the imagery, the more chilling it gets. I think it's the opposite of jump scares, which just scare you by being loud and surprising, but the horror of The Shining is more subtle and clever. For me, it's like a seed of terror, which appears to be nothing at first, but once it's planted inside your head, it gets progressively more terrifying the more you think about it. The acting was, of course, outstanding because the director wouldn't stop until he got exactly what he wanted. But I heard that Stephen King himself didn't like Wendy in the film. he thought she just screamed a lot and wasn't like the character he wrote at all. Shelley Duvall even was nominated for Razzie's Worst Actress for the role, but I personally think her performance was fine. Her frightfulness seemed genuine, and I think her character in the film is pretty realistic. I feel like most people would freak out if their husbands tried to kill them and their kids, so I don't have any problem with the screaming or the helplessness. Besides, she manages to save herself and Danny, so I never considered her to be weak or useless. Granted, I've never read the novel, so I can't really speak to how faithful an adaptation the movie was. Maybe if one day I read the book, I'd find the movie to be horrible. But at this point, based purely on the movie, I think Shelley Duvall's Wendy is great. I also really admire some of the shots in the movie. I remember there was a scene where Danny was sitting on the carpet playing, and the carpet had a very particular pattern. When I saw that scene, I thought to myself, wow, that is so beautiful and unsettling. If I ever do a whole set of nails based on The Shining, I will definitely put that on my nails. Anyway, that is just one example of how beautiful but unsettling the film was. And you can tell the director wanted the movie to look a very specific way so that the audience would feel a very specific way. And it is that weird blend of beauty and unease that made me scared of the film days after I watched it. So that basically wraps up my thoughts on The Shining. I think it is a very clever, beautiful, and terrifying piece of cinema and definitely deserves to be referred to as one of the greatest horror movies of all time. I know I probably missed a bunch of themes behind the movie, but I'm never one for the hidden messages or deeper meaning of media. I feel like that sort of stuff could vary from individual to individual, and there are always ways to argue a theme is there, even though it isn't the creator's intention. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and the frozen nail I did. I kind of messed up, but oh well, it's my first video, so I'll get better next time. Leave a like if you like this video, leave a dislike if you didn't like it, and let me know what you think about The Shining or my nail in the comments. Bye bye and keep nailing it, people.